The engines roared to life, vibrating the very ground beneath the spectators. It was the start of the Formula One season, and all eyes were on the Monaco Grand Prix. The sun blazed down on the circuit, reflecting off the sleek, polished cars lined up on the grid. Among the drivers was Lucas Marquez, a seasoned racer with a fierce reputation. This year, he wasn't just racing for victory, he was racing for redemption. Lucas had tasted glory before, but last season was a disaster. A series of mechanical failures, accidents, and personal losses had shattered his confidence. The media called him washed up, a driver past his prime. But Lucas knew better. He had spent the off-season rebuilding his body, his mind, and his car. Now, standing under the hot Monaco sun, he was ready to reclaim his throne. As the lights turned red and the countdown began, Lucas gripped the steering wheel of his car, a custom-built machine of pure power and precision. Next to him, his main rival, Anton Grivko, sat in his own car, calm and focused. Grivko had won the championship last year and was determined to defend his title. The tension between them was palpable. They hadn't exchanged words in months, but the rivalry needed no words. When the lights blinked off and turned green, the deafening roar of the engines filled the air, and the cars shot forward like bullets. Lucas slammed his foot on the accelerator, feeling the rush of adrenaline surge through his veins. The first few corners were critical. Whoever took the lead now would control the race. Monaco's tight, twisting streets left little room for overtaking. Lucas expertly navigated the chicanes, weaving between the barriers with millimeter precision. His car felt alive beneath him, responding to his every touch. But Grivko was just ahead, holding the lead. Lap after lap, the gap between them remained painfully small. Lucas pushed harder, his eyes locked on Grivko's rear wing, searching for an opening, a mistake, anything that would give him the advantage. The pit stops came and went with lightning speed, but nothing changed. Grivko was flawless. Lucas knew he had to take a risk if he wanted to win. On lap 42, he saw his chance, a tight hairpin turn where Grivko had slowed slightly more than usual. Lucas made his move. He darted to the inside, tires screaming as they fought for grip, and for a moment, the two cars were side by side. The crowd held its breath as the duel unfolded before them. Grivko reacted, cutting across to defend his position. The two cars grazed each other, sparks flying as metal scraped metal. But Lucas didn't back down. He held his line, forcing Grivko wide. The risk paid off. Lucas emerged from the turn ahead, his heart pounding in his chest. Now in the lead, the pressure intensified. Grivko was right on his tail, and one mistake could cost him everything. Lucas could feel the heat from the tires, the G-forces pulling at his body as he took each corner at breakneck speed. His team radio crackled in his ear. "Pace is good, Lucas. Keep it steady," his engineer's voice said. But Lucas wasn't thinking about keeping it steady. He was thinking about winning. As the laps counted down, exhaustion began to set in. His hands ached from gripping the wheel, and sweat dripped down his face. But there was no time to think about the pain. Lap 55, the final lap. The finish line was in sight, but Grivko wasn't done yet. He launched a final assault, pushing his car to the absolute limit. Lucas could see him in his mirrors, closing the gap. His heart raced faster than the engine. He couldn't let it slip away now. The final corner was a tight right-hander, and Lucas knew it would decide the race. He braked late, throwing his car into the turn with everything he had. The tires squealed, and for a terrifying moment, he thought he might lose control. But the car held. As he exited the corner, he glanced at his mirrors. Grivko was still behind, but it was too late for him to overtake. Lucas crossed the finish line, his fists punching the air in triumph. The crowd erupted into cheers, the sound of victory washing over him like a wave. He had done it. After a year of struggle and doubt, he had reclaimed his place at the top. But as Lucas climbed out of his car, exhausted and overwhelmed, he knew this victory was only the beginning. The season was long, and Grivko would be back. There were more races to win, more battles to fight. But for now, as the champagne sprayed over him on the podium, he allowed himself a moment of pure, unfiltered joy. The media swarmed around him, cameras flashing and microphones thrust in his face. But Lucas wasn't thinking about the headlines or the interviews. He was thinking about the sound of the engine, the smell of burning rubber, and the thrill of racing. This was where he belonged. And no matter what came next, Lucas knew one thing for certain. He was a champion once more.